Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Local News. Saskatchewan is reporting 2 new deaths from COVID-19 and 325 new cases. 23 of the new cases are in the Northwest Zone, 11 of them are in the Northwest 2 subzone, which is the immediate Lloydminster area. There are 60 active cases in our subzone and 3,879 in the province. 123 people are in hospital, including 8 in our zone. 23 people are in intensive care, 49 more people have recovered. There have been reports of counterfeit $150 bills circulating in the Wainwright area. Jace Mackey has more on what businesses and shoppers should look out for.
I'm joined today with Tracy Martineau. She's the president of the Wainwright and District Chamber of Commerce. Tracy, thanks for taking some time to talk with me today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So recently, counterfeit $100 and $50 bills have popped up around Wainwright. Can you just tell me a little bit about this?
Yeah, I was made aware actually last week. The RCMP had given me a call and for a heads up and to put it out to the public, just thinking that there was a couple cases. But now that we've heard, and since I've put it out on social media to have people look, it's now hundreds and 50s that are being taken. And a lot of the feedback is it's coming in bundles. So they'll give you 400s per se, and it'll be in the middle kind of thing. So we want to make sure that people are aware that they are out there.
So what should people look for if they are receiving, $150 bills? What should they be looking at to make sure that they're not receiving a counterfeit bill?
Well, one of the biggest things that you've got to look at, it really is, I know the texture is a little bit different and the markings are a little bit different. And I even heard that on the $50 bills, there's actually written in marker 50. So the ones that are coming through that I understand were ordered off of wish.com. So they are play money and made to look like real money. So if you just kind of either don't take them at this time if you're uncomfortable, or just take a really good look at it and question them all, because you don't want to be a victim of fraud, especially this time of year, as any year or any time.
So what kind of practices can they put in place to make sure that they're, checking the bills properly? What are some safeguards that businesses can do to make sure that they're not receiving these counterfeit bills?
Well, I would definitely suggest having a kind of an idea of what those bills do look like, posting it on their counters and making sure all of the employees are aware. As you can, very well understand, there's part-time employees, shift employees, night employees, etc. So, and have that good conversation, because once they get to the bank and you take that, you could be out those funds. So the biggest thing is education. And if anybody does want to find out more information, I'm sure that the RCMP would be more than happy. A good guideline, again, is to go to and find out exactly what they do look like. Just take extra time, and even just do not take those bills.
Another thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about, and we've been talking with different chambers of commerce from communities all around our region, is just kind of, especially around this Christmas season. I know it's been a difficult year, especially for small businesses. How important is it for people when they're doing their Christmas shopping to try and think local first?
Oh my gosh, I'm glad that you asked that. Shopping local is really huge, especially in our rural areas. We service with Wainwright and District. We do service a lot of small communities who at this time are struggling, especially with our numbers are creeping up a little bit. So we want to make sure that people feel safe and secure and know that as a community, we are doing the social distance and safety measures. And shopping local, what that does, you have to remember, is being able to keep these shops open. The owners have been working day and night, a lot of them, since March, and even had to close. And I was so happy to hear Kenny say, to bring that out, shop local, and our town of Wainwright is shop local. Really what we want to embrace is the community spirit, that we are here to all work together. Every store owner they look down the street. If that store next to them happens to close, that's also going to be a detriment to them. These local stores also help out with community fundraisers, hockey teams, you name it, they help out. So we want to also give back to them as well, and keep those jobs open, keep those doors open, and get through this process of 2020 and into 21 being a better time to shop.
And obviously last week, the Alberta government put some new restrictions on just for COVID-19. I just wanted to get a little bit about kind of what the Chambers of Commerce's reaction was to them, because obviously the first time around, a lot of everything was kind of shut down more so, and people had to trend towards the kind of big box stores. Are you kind of optimistic now that the government decided to give small businesses a chance to, keep their doors open?
Absolutely. And another thing that the government is doing, and a lot of businesses are doing, is giving more resources to online shopping. And that's kind of the fun thing that we've been really noticing is in downtown Wainwright, we do have some very unique and really some fun stores to shop in. And a lot of them are going on the online route. So buying gift certificates, having them available, having those sales available. So that's one really nice thing is right now we aren't on the enhanced list, but if and when we do happen to do that, we still have the opportunity to be able to go to those stores, find that curbside shopping, everything like that. So we're trying to keep positive, making sure that we are all aware, we're all in it together, and we all want to support each other.
All right, well, Tracy Martineau, thanks for taking some time to talk with me today.
Great, thank you.
It is time now for this week's Retrospect. Here's Blake Nath.
This week in Retrospect. With staying healthy on the forefront of people's minds, we take a look back at the flu season in '95.
Coughing and sniffles rise above the usual classroom sounds as Border City schools try to recover from the recent flu bug. Most schools began to get some students back today, but last week and earlier this week, some elementary schools had as much as 30% of their students out sick.
The worst time was about a week ago. Last Thursday, Friday, and the very beginning of this week, Monday, Tuesday, and it's tapering off now. Kids are getting better and they're getting back to school.
At the end of last week, we started losing a lot of children for sickness, but especially this week, it's been quite bad. A lot of them are coming back with very bad colds and bad throats still, and very flushed and kind of feverish, and they're finding it hard to cope with working in school.
Both high schools in Lloydminster said they weren't hit as hard as the younger grades.
In the last few days, we've had an absentee rate of about 16-18% among students, and I think we're out 4 or 5 teachers in the last 3 or 4 days, and there will be some out tomorrow already phoned in sick.
And in 2000, consumers prepare for the Christmas season, including the new trend of shopping online.
Just happy people, kids excited. I like to see excited kids and find what they're looking for, and had to sneak a few presents past a few kids. That's always a lot of fun. And come soon, because what you're looking for, probably the more popular items, will soon be gone. Every day is getting busier and busier and busier.
Absolutely crazy, but it's been really, really fun. I like to see all the happy people and just running around with their heads cut off, trying to get their last minute Christmas gifts. It's really neat.
She's quite excited about Christmas, all 3 of them. Pretty easy. My girls want pretty much everything, so it's not hard to be able to pick them out pretty much anything they want this year.
With everybody trying to do their Christmas shopping last minute, if you're not ready to contend with the crowds, why not try going online, where you can virtually shop 24/7.
I've done a lot of my shopping online. People are getting CDs, furniture, stuff from IKEA and Walmart and Zellers. Everybody's getting stuff online, and a lot of the families across the country, so some of them are getting it shipped direct, so I don't even have to stop and wrap it.
And that's all for this week in retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
Thanks a lot, Jasmine. Looking right now, -3 is what we're currently sitting at. We could get a little bit colder in the evening, more so around that -3 as well tonight. But throughout the day, we had lots of sunshine. That's going to be the case over the next several days. We're going to have very nice weather, even numbers in the positives. But right now, it feels more so like only -4, so not that much of a difference with that added wind chill. Looking at other areas right now, fairly warm in most of our immediate Lakeland region here. -2 in Vermilion, 3 degrees out in Edmonton, -4 for St. Paul, -5 in Bonnyville, and -6 up in Cold Lake right now. It's a little bit colder in those areas. -3 in Maidstone currently as well, with -4 in North Battleford. As we move into Meadow Lake, they're a little bit colder at -9, and then -4 up in Isle of Cross. So here's a look at the satellite radar map. Some areas in the southern Alberta could be expecting some rain snow mixes. There is a freezing rain warning in some areas of northern Alberta, including high level. But in terms of us getting any of that rain or snow mix, it's not going to happen over the next several days, as we'll showcase what we could see in just a little bit here. Looking at North Battleford overnight, -9 tonight, going into -3 for tomorrow, kind of similar to what we saw today there, with lots more sun and a few clouds there. Cold Lake -7 overnight with some cloud coverage. Going into tomorrow, should clear up a little bit more with that wind chill picking up a little bit at -2, so it could feel more closer to -6 with that added temperature there. And then looking for us here, Lloydminster, -6 overnight with some winds overnight at 30 kilometers an hour there, so it could feel a little bit colder. But -4 tomorrow, clear skies throughout the day, and a little more wind than we expected than today, so it could feel more like -12 tomorrow, but still nice weather nonetheless. As we look into Wednesday and Thursday, +2 degrees is what we're expecting over those next several days, so it could feel more like -9 and -8 with that added wind chill. Then -7 is our daytime low there for Wednesday, and -4 on Thursday. So we're in for a great week of weather, great sunshine, and just nice weather all around, of course, as we are getting into December. That's a look at your weather for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. The Lloydminster Men's Shelter plans to open up 24/7 during the winter season. Our Shelby Clark spoke with them for more details on an update what they're doing and in need of for the holidays.
I'm talking with Valerie Lazicki with the Lloydminster Men's Shelter today. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very good. Now, I first wanted to ask if the men's shelter is being open hopefully 24/7 for the winter season.
That's our plan. We're just in the process now of accepting resumes and staffing so that we can go 24/7, and I hope to do that very soon.
And during the pandemic, what changes had to be made for safety regulations?
Pretty much the same as everywhere else. In a sense, we're a business like any other business. So the protocols of distancing, stepped up hygiene, increased cleaning, just all of those things that we expect in any space in our communities at this point.
And I was looking on the Men's Shelter Facebook page. Can you explain more on what #BPC Stronger Together is all about coming up tomorrow?
So their business is doing an initiative where they are filling pack sacks with items from local businesses that are donated, and then they're going to bring them to the shelter for us to distribute. It's just some really nice things that the clients we serve would appreciate having.
And a few weeks ago, the Men's Shelter was recognized for the Nonprofit of the Year Award. What's this award all about, and how did it feel to receive this?
The Nonprofit of the Year Award is given by the Chamber of Commerce, and the reason that we received that award is that we've had some growth in the last year. Our organization has expanded. We've expanded services, and they recognized the good work that we do.
And what is the Men's Shelter needing at the moment for the winter season and the holidays?
We're always looking for warm weather clothing, non-perishable food items, just, anything that, you think that might be helpful to our clients at this time of year, for sure.
And of course, during right now, has there been lots of support from residents with helping the men's shelter?
We have a generous community, and we are really grateful for the support that we get. We have lots of people that still continue to drop off donations and reach out and check in on us. It's really, really very nice.
And I know a big fundraiser for the Lloydminster Men's Shelter is coming up, the coolest night of the year in February. Has any planning changed for that right now?
It's the coldest night of the year, and that is a night, this coming up one is February 20th, 2021. What happens is communities all across Canada all walk at the same time on the same night, and it is an awareness for people struggling with homelessness. It's a fundraiser for us, and it's our biggest fundraiser of the year. So people can go online to cnoy.org and enter their team. They don't have to walk in person. They can do it virtually in their own community, in their own home. We will be having an in-person walk, and we'll modify that, of course, significantly to make sure that everyone is safe if they do want to walk with us on that night. But it is a great fundraiser, and it feels really good, to help out our community, the people in need, and to know that we are walking with people all across Canada at the same time is really powerful.
And is there anything else you'd like to add for residents to know about right now?
The Lloydminster Co-op Marketplace is doing a food drive for us, December 1st. So if someone's doing their grocery shopping, if you'd like to purchase a hamper that will come to the men's shelter, we greatly appreciate it.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Valerie.
Thank you.
In the world of sports, Week 12 of the NFL season is wrapping up Tuesday with the Ravens and Steelers game. Evan Kenny and Eric Bay break down the best from Sunday night's action.
After a busy Sunday filled with NFL action, I'm here with Eric Bay to break down the weekend and events that happened. Eric, thank you for taking this time.
Yeah, lots of different stuff here happening this weekend.
Yeah, and a lot of it had to do with quarterbacks when it comes to the NFL. And just starting things off, we'll talk about the New Orleans Saints game versus the Denver Broncos. The Saints ended up winning that one 31-3, and there were struggles for the Broncos even before the game started. They didn't even have an actual quarterback to start this game. They had to bring in somebody from the practice squad. Eric, do you think they were maybe hopeless just from the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, if the Saints lost this one, it's the equivalent of the Maple Leafs losing to a Zamboni driver. I mean, there's no way around it, especially the way the Saints defense has been playing, especially in recent weeks. The thing that concerns me about this game, though, is the fact that this kind of sets, I would say, a dangerous precedent. And I don't know if you agree, just the fact that they still played the game despite losing an entire roster's worth of quarterbacks. And I know right now it's the Broncos who are out of a playoff spot. Probably not the biggest concern in the world for most fans. But what if this happens when we get to the playoffs or an elimination game, a win and get in say week 17? That's where this kind of concerns me, because I feel like the NFL has set a precedent. We're going to play no matter what, and you kind of have to stick to that at this point.
Or even for me, Eric, it sort of comes to where do they draw the line on who gets to play and who gets to sit out a week. I mean, if we look at it, the same week we've heard the storylines about the Baltimore Ravens and their game continually getting pushed. Now, the Broncos didn't get their game pushed because they were considered that they were still able to play versus the Ravens, who were not able to play just due to numbers of players out. But I mean, how does that change? When you have 4 quarterbacks out and you have 0 quarterbacks remaining, that seems unable to play in my mind, does it not?
Yeah, that's the most important position on the field, and you throw in a guy who's been out of the league for a couple of years, was a quarterback way back in college, and is now a wide receiver. So, yeah, as you said, this was pretty much hopeless from the beginning, and you're right, it is a very interesting line in the sand to draw for the NFL.
Taysom Hill did pick up his second win there in his second start as well. Moving on now, the Atlanta Falcons surprised not only myself and yourself, but I think all NFL fans out there, defeating the Las Vegas Raiders 43-6. Eric, just take me through this game, what you saw there.
Yeah, I mean, really, the Atlanta Falcons, surprisingly enough, their defense has really been the strength of this team the last couple weeks. Even with their loss against the Saints, it was their defense that vastly outperformed the offense, and it happened again this weekend. Obviously, 5 turnovers is really what led to the Falcons putting up so many points, because to be honest, their offense wasn't really impressive. Their run game was virtually non-existent. Matt Ryan only had about 200 yards passing, and when you throw in a pick 6 along with those other turnovers, that's really the big difference. And at this point, it kind of seems like the Las Vegas Raiders are the opposite of the Falcons, where the Falcons start poorly and finish off pretty strong. It seems like the Raiders start pretty good and then tail off towards the end. They went 1-5 to finish off last season, miss a playoff spot. So now we're going to have to see. The rubber has to meet the road here for the Raiders and see what team this Raiders team actually is, and if they can be the team that beat the Chiefs earlier this season, narrowly lost to them the last couple weeks here, and now can they make the playoffs and be the team we really expect and have seen them to be earlier in this season?
Yeah, for me, Eric, it's more, is Derek Carr going to be that same quarterback we saw against the Chiefs? And really throughout most of the beginning of the year, he was doing outstanding. Or is he going to be the quarterback that we did see on Sunday? I guess only time will tell for the Raiders, hoping to make that playoff push there. Now, moving on to the north, the Packers blew out the Chicago Bears, or at least it was looking like a blowout, as the Packers put up 27 points in just the first half alone. Aaron Rodgers was really doing what Aaron Rodgers does. Eric, do you think we could see another MVP coming from Aaron?
Oh, without a doubt. I think really at this point, in my mind, he's kind of the front runner, especially now that we've seen the last few weeks Russell Wilson hasn't been performing to the level he was earlier in the season. And to be fair, that is a hard level to continue to attain. But Aaron Rodgers has really been consistent here week in, week out throughout the entire season. And the Bears, the strength of their team is their defense. Their offense is pretty laughable, we've seen here the past few weeks, but their defense is actually very good. And they got torched for 41 points. So I think Aaron Rodgers at this point is putting up another MVP season. As I said earlier, I think he's ready to, take out the noise there about the fact he doesn't have any wide receivers and go for another Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, this was the first time since 2016 that the Bears actually allowed more than 40 points. Now, continuing talking about offense, final game here to discuss is the Kansas City Chiefs win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sort of Mahomes versus Brady in this one, and Mahomes really took off early. Him and Tyreek Hill had that connection right off the bat. Tyreek Hill is first player in over 30 years with 7+ receptions and 200+ yards in a single quarter, let alone an entire game. So pretty unreal connection there, and a great week of football. More to come in next week. Eric, it's always a pleasure getting to chat with you.
For sure.
Now we will be taking a look at your pet pad pictures. Thank you to everyone who submitted a picture to our Facebook page, and we will be giving away a pet pad gift card on Friday.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
I'm joined here with Dwayne Jeffrey, and he's a teacher at the Lloydminster Comprehensive High School. Now, once again, the high school is hosting the Rudolph Roundup. So for somebody who doesn't know, how does this event work?
All right, so this is our 23rd anniversary of Rudolph's Roundup. It started even before I was here. And the idea is that it's our biggest fundraiser our school does. And it's for the Inchville Home, which, of course, is a home to protect women fleeing domestic violence and their families. And this year is probably the most important. Well, it's not probably, it is the most important year ever, because both their major fundraisers didn't happen due to COVID. So, I mean, our job in the past has always been to raise some gifts for kids for Christmas who I would have there, but also a lot of supplies. So brushes, toilets, toilet paper, shampoo, soap, all the accessories, diapers, especially bigger sizes. Yeah, they tend to get lots of donations for newborns, but less for kids who are like 1.5, 2. Clothing, winter supplies, pretty much anything. I mean, the interval home, if people know about it, they can go there for 3 weeks at the home. Then often the interval home also helps them get relocated, a new apartment and so forth, help furnish that apartment, make sure they have the necessities to start over again. And because often the children, the family leave with just the clothes in their back. So our goal is just to get enough to not only help for Christmas, but really to supply them until next year.
And now you mentioned that it will be looking different this year. So will the way you are taking donations change at all?
A little bit. I mean, luckily, we can still do we got permission to do it in school. So kids can still bring things. We have double point, triple point each day. So classes can compete for small prizes. Usually like pizza parties, and this year they'll have to do like ice cream wrapped stuff. So that's a little different, but I mean, not a big deal. And so every day, the hardest part is our kids are now every second day. And I mean, I remember when I was in high school, their memory's not as great. I guess my memory's not great now either, I suppose. But so, I mean, we start off a little slower than we usually do because it's every second day. But we're starting to pick it up a little bit as it goes on. We have a collection box just put out today, just outside our school, which will have out there all school day until the end of the school day. So people in the community who don't have kids in our school want to come and drop stuff off, they can do that. And we're still trying to get a few businesses to put some boxes up around the community, which we're just working on now.
Why do you feel it's such a good idea to get students involved in things like this and different types of fundraisers?
Well, I think the one perk of COVID, not that there's many perks of COVID, is that it really made the kids realize how important school is, but also how important being a member of the community is, right? We've seen a lot of, buy local and all that kind of stuff, which we should always be doing, but it's really been pushed more under COVID times. And the kids this year, they ran it early. They were already talking back in September, how are we going to run this? How do we make it different? What if we're in lockdown? Can we still do it? We had plans even if we weren't at school. And I just have a really good group this year of kids who really are compassionate and see that school, academics is important. I'm not saying they're not, but really every K-12 curriculum, the one thing that is consistent is they're supposed to produce global, well-rounded citizens. And I think we're doing that. Every year we get better at doing that. And I mean, great job from the teachers before me, right from kindergarten up, that I get these kids who are already ambitious to do this. I mean, I get a lot of credit. I'm on the interviews here, but I mean, I do very little of the work. The kids plan it, the kids run it, and so forth. So it's very exciting to see kids really take hold of something and go with it.
And for somebody in the community who's looking to help, what are the dates? And you mentioned the drop-off box outside the school. So is that one of the only ways that you can drop off things right now?
Yeah, right now we'll have a box out every day before school till after school, probably around 4, I'm guessing. See how we get that to work with janitors downstairs, right till next Friday. And if after that, I mean, they can donate right to the info store itself and so forth. But this usually we collect new goods and used goods, but with COVID, we're collecting just new goods this year. If people have used goods, drop them off at the info store because they're always in need there too, and that's one of their big fundraisers too. Store.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Dwayne.
Thank you very much.
Well, joining us today is Jesse Mitchell, the Director of Live Events with CMI. We're talking today about this new music series on YouTube called the Connected Music Series. Jesse, just give us an idea of what this music series is all about.
Sure. So the Connected Music Series is a national online performance program that will be running in all of November and December. It's presented by TD. TD has always been the bank that supports music. They've done a great job at that. So they're constantly looking for ways on how to support artists, how to support the music industry in general. So together between TD and CMI, we came up with an idea where we really wanted to create a program that could really target and spotlight the diversity of music in Canada. So that was our main goal of it. At the same time as doing that, we thought, what a great way to also kind of maybe use this as a way to spotlight significant spaces throughout Canada, depending on the artist. And at the same time, because this is online, because these performances are online, also spotlighting the video creators that are creating these performances and the people out there as well. So that's kind of the main premise of it. So the Connected Music Series, really, it's an online national program. It's presented by TD. It's going to be running all of November all of December. We have 20 artists that will be airing their performances. All of these performances are pre-recorded, so thankfully we got lucky and we were able to do it safe and follow, with the regulatory guidelines and whatnot. And then they'll be all being aired on YouTube on the CMI YouTube page.
So why now decide to do a music series, Jesse? Was it mainly because COVID's kept artists from going out and performing, or more so on the fact that, unfortunately, in today's society, there is a lot of discrimination and racism, and then you wanted to use this Connected Music series as a way to showcase all these different cultures as your performers?
For sure. That was probably the biggest reason. I mean, first and foremost, just in general, when it comes to artists during the pandemic, obviously we've seen how hit they've been because of that, especially when it comes to their live revenue, right? So the first kind of thing that came to our mind is, how do we help artists when it comes to the live revenue that they've lost because of this pandemic, right? And then when we were getting to this, we did want to really make sure that we were highlighting the diversity of the music within Canada. So we did really want to focus on helping Indigenous artists, Black artists, and South Asian artists. So this first batch of 20 performances are all from Indigenous artists, Black artists, and South Asian artists. But yes, to answer your question, it really kind of stemmed from that.
Now, talk about some of the performers themselves. I know you've had a few shows already, but talk about some of the talent that you've gathered for these shows and what they bring.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say one of my favorite things about this is although we're only focusing really, again, on Black artists, Indigenous artists, South Asian artists, that doesn't mean that there's a lot of different genres in that, right? So if you take Indigenous artists, there's a lot of Indigenous artists that are rappers, that are folk singers, that are country, right? So not only did we want to also make sure that we're booking Indigenous artists and supporting Indigenous artists, but also, promoting the different genres within those groups, right? So the way that we were able to find it, I mean, through CMI, we work with artists and managers all across Canada already. So we have a good pool of artists that we work with, but at the same time, we have a good pool of partners that we work with as well. So we were working with all the provincial MIAs. We were working with all of our different partners, community partners, venues, promoters. So it wasn't just us deciding on who it was. It was a very collectively decision with recommendations from all of our different partners across Canada.
What's been the response like so far from this music series that you guys have been doing?
The responses have been great. Again, it's kind of like a different thing because it's a performance, but it's at home, right? And just the same way of, having to be at a certain place at a certain time, we kind of take the same vibe with this, where it's like, if you want to see that performance, it's at this time. It's not at a venue, or it's still at a venue, but you got to go check it online, right? So we've had some great ones. We actually had Kaylee Cardinal. That was last week, and she was at the Osawana Contemporary Art Center, which is a beautiful art center, and they're actually doing an Indigenous exhibit. So this wasn't a traditional venue where it was a stage with lights and whatnot. And what we did is we were able to bring it in because of COVID and because it was in lockdown. We were able to kind of go there in a safe manner and really still be able to showcase it and promote it to the world.
And lastly, how long does it run till, and how can people watch if they want to?
So it's running right now. We started it last week. You can still take a look at all the performances that have happened. So they are on our YouTube page, but it'll be running all of November, all of December, until about December 20th, which would be our last performance. So a lot of time to still check out performances. So there's a couple ways. One, you can go to the CMI's Facebook page, and you can check out all the performances there. If you want to go on Facebook, we actually do have a series page under the Connected Music series. At the same time, all of the airings are on the YouTube pages as well. So what I would recommend is you either can go to the artist's webpage who are promoting, and they have the links where you can go watch the performances, or if you just go to the CMI's Facebook page or YouTube page, you'll see all the performances listed there as well.
Well, Jesse, I really appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's going to be great to see all these performances up until mid-December, so thank you.
Hey, thanks for having us.
All right, taking one last look here at your weather forecast. -4 for Tuesday there. We're going to have lots of sunshine for the next little bit here, including on top of that, just great weather in general. Wednesday and Thursday, we'll see a high of 2 degrees throughout the day. 1 degree there for Friday with some cloud coverage coming in. And a little bit more on Saturday. We're still with that high of -1 there. And then as we get into Sunday and Monday, 0 degrees on both those days there with that low there of -6. So like I said, we're going to have great temperatures nonetheless. So it's going to be good to enjoy that while we can before we start to see that turn into -30 with maybe plus the wind chill there. We usually average around -7 for our daytime high and averaging -15 usually for our daytime low.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.